Hello, this is Dr. Flight, and this is a segment that focuses on a small period of time in the product life cycle between the development phase and the launch phase. So what we're going to do here is go into pre-launch, where we start to make some strategic decisions on how we're going to bring the product to market. And also we're reflecting and thinking about how this product will meet our goals and objectives that we set back when we identified the product innovation charter earlier in the product life cycle. So this segment again deals with transitioning from development to launch, but making some strategic decisions on how the product will be brought forward, and also confirming that the product meets the goals and objectives that we need this product to do as we move forward and as are reflected in the product innovation charter. At this time, we want to move from the development stage into a pre-launch stage. So this diagram illustrates the activities that are engaged in on a technical level through the development stage, and then also on a marketing level or scale through the development stage as well. Remember, there are two things happening in development: the technical development of the physical product, the testing of the product, and so forth. And then what we also do is we focus on how the product will be sold, distributed, the pricing of the product, the commercials that'll run, the media campaign, and so on and so forth. So that's all the marketing side of launching a product, which is typically being developed at the same time that the physical product is being developed as well. So that's going on. But once we finish that, then we ease into a pre-launch stage, which is what we're going to start talking about now. So this illustration just shows that we're finishing up the development stage and we're moving into the last stage before commercialization, which would be our pre-launch. And then upon launch, we go into full commercialization and the product is on the market to sell. As we move forward, we should continue to think about the different strategies or goals that we have as a corporation, as a firm, in terms of developing our products and why we want to develop our products and so forth. So this should have been already communicated early in the process. Remember, the product innovation charter should give guidance as to why we're developing the product to begin with and what strategic goals we want to accomplish by doing so. So at this point, we want to talk about fine-tuning some of these and how we're going to accomplish some of our goals and the objectives that we have as a strategic given moving forward. So we want to specify, for instance, what we want to earn from a margin perspective. This is heavily influenced, of course, by the cost of the product, which we should know by now, but it also is influenced by the price that we're going to charge, so that we can understand what type of margin we're going to be able to offer or allow ourselves. Other aspects that we're thinking about now that can have an impact on the strategic component of the PIC and why we're actually launching this product include the rate in which we want to bring the product to market. So again, there are some hurdles that we could cross that could take a little bit longer. So we could do some additional testing, for instance, and we need to consider how rapidly we want to bring the product to the market. If it's something that's new to the world that nobody else can copy, for instance, we may not be in much of a hurry, but if it's a product that can be copied very easily and will be very, very competitive with lots of different competitors out there trying to also produce the same product, then we might want to move very, very quickly and get it out there very fast. So we're also thinking about how we're going to distribute the product, in terms of reaching our market, like that availability variable in the ATAR model is a function of distribution. So we have key issues there that we want to think about: advertising policy, and then finally pricing policy. So when we think about communication, distribution, pricing, Those are the components of the 4Ps, which traditionally go into our marketing environment. So those need to support the strategic goals that we have for this product from a corporate perspective, to make sure that this product will be a market success, but then also a success within the firm as well. So reviewing some of these goals that we've talked about earlier for the product innovation charter and thinking about how we can support those, we have market issues where we want to make sure that the product that we're developing and creating is a market success. So the product has to have use in the marketplace. It has to satisfy a goal. We're going to set clear goals and objectives that are based around how many units we'll sell, and then how much market share we anticipate having as well. But those are market-driven, customer-related goals and objectives that relate back to our strategic goals. We have financial performance, of course. So if the product is produced, but it can't be done so and can't be sold at a proper margin, then it's not going to be something we want to move forward with even now, or we want to revamp what we're thinking. We also talked earlier about internal rates of return and things of that nature. Cash to cash is a term that you may fall into, where we definitely want to think about how long it's going to take to break even. So we have negative cash flow for a period of time because each unit we sell is working towards paying down the fixed costs that we have built into the product already. And so what we want to do is think about at what point will we break even time-wise, and it might be a couple of years, it might be a period of time before we have a break-even point in time based on our fixed costs that we've already incurred in the product. So we think about our margin oftentimes as a contribution margin, or what types of amount of how much money can we take from a sale and contribute it back to the investment that we made in order to produce the product. So those things we think about early on, and again, we want to check those to make sure that our media plans, our marketing plan is going to support those goals. Other issues, we've thinking about the development of the product itself. So cost, of course, plays into margin quite a bit. So that's, we want to make sure we're good there. We have a rollout issue with the time to market. Quality and performance deal with the product. So we should have been testing that already. Making sure that those are good. And then other things like how this new product will allow us to be more competitive, for instance, how we will use this new product in a branding perspective. And think about this, if we launch a new product, it's going to make people in the organization, really excited and really, ready to come to work. And we've got a new product coming out. Our sales staff will be excited because they'll be able to offer the customers something new and so forth. So there's a morale type of a thing as well. Okay, so this is the transition, and this is the point of this little discussion here, is the transition from development to launch. And we got a pre-launch period of time here where we're taking a few things into consideration that we already know about, but we want to double check and make sure things are moving forward. Some other considerations that are happening in a strategic sense at this point deal with things called permanence, what type of demand we're going to try to satisfy, how we're going to replace a potential product if that's something that we're doing, market entry speed, how aggressive we're going to be in the marketplace, competitive issues in terms of how this new product will work for us, and then again a branding issue, thinking about how we can utilize this new product to reinforce our current brand or image that we have developed for ourselves. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about these different topics, and again, these are strategic decision points that we want to think about as we're finalizing how this product will be launched and how it will represent our firm to the public, and what this product will do for us as we move forward from a strategic perspective. So permanence has this idea, or it's this notion that can the product that we're developing work by itself And can it be something that's a standalone product or is it something that would be a complementary product to others? Or do we have to have other products support what we're doing here? So if you're a software organization or software company, you're developing software, in order for your software to work, there has to be hardware for your software to work on. So if you have software, the sales of your software product are somewhat contingent to the availability of hardware in order to run it. So that's kind of a consideration to think about. How does your product lie within the other products you sell? What is the relationship between your product and other products you sell or other products that are available to the customer? So this concept of permanence has to do with this notion that products exist for a period of time and they tend to rely on other products in order for them to be able to be useful. And also, one wants to think about how long you want your product to exist in the marketplace. It might be that you have a product you launch and then at some point you want to replace it. And you want a new generation of product to replace the old one. So even though the product lifecycle chart says you should have this product for like 20 years or something, what you might want to do is replace this product after 5 years or 10 years. And so that way people buy the product again, they buy the upgraded version of it, or they buy the new technology that's associated with it, and so forth. So we got this permanence issue of whether it's how it fits within the product line that you have and how long the product's going to last. This very last category here, this temporary category, is an idea that we sometimes produce products that are only meant for a very short period of time because there's a tie-in between our product and something else. So there are some examples here of how, like a new movie comes out and we're going to launch a product that is related to that movie, and you know that the life of the movie is only going to be so long in the marketplace, and so the product that we are offering will only be relevant for the length of time that that movie is relevant. So that would be a temporary, the permanence concept for that would be temporary. And so that's the issue there. We want to think about this, and this will heavily impact how we promote and how we market and such our products. Another idea is thinking about who will use our product and where those market members will come from. So we have this notion called primary demand and second and selective demand. And primary demand is when you develop a product and basically what you're doing is you're creating a market by the development of the product. So we think about primary demand as being very closely associated with new to the world products. New to the world products. So primary demand creates a market. Otherwise, we have replacement demand and selective demand, and these two forms of demand are very closely related, and they're related in the sense that you want a market of consumers to move from what they're currently doing to your new product. So we want them to either switch from a competitor or we want them to upgrade to us, in order to create the demand we need for the market for the product to be sold. So with replacement demand, then the assumption is that you already have a product in the marketplace and you want to upgrade it so that, or improve it somehow so that people either continue to buy your product or buy your product again for a second time or switch from a competitor. So that's kind of the replacement demand notion where you're in an existing market and you want them to upgrade their product to you from what they're using. Selective demand, again, very closely related in the sense that you want people to switch or consumers to switch to your product. But in this case, you may not already be in the market. So you may be bringing a product to a market that's new to you, but already has competitors in it, and we want to take market share directly away from those competitors. That would be, so the consumer has to select, in other words. They're selecting a new company to buy their product from, a new brand to buy. It's selective because people have choice and they can choose the existing competitor or they can choose your product and you want them to choose your product. So selectivity and selective demand is built into this notion that people have a choice and they can choose you or not. So we think about demand, we think about permanence. We also think about the idea that if the product is already existing in some form or fashion and we want to replace it with a new product, we want to think about how that's done, when we do it, and how we handle the old product after we make a replacement. So when we do a butt-on product replacement strategy, what we do is we end sales with our old product and we start sales with our new product right after another. We stop the old, start the new. We just drop the old product and we, as soon as the new product is launched or announced, then you can't get the old product anymore. Another option is to, if you have a seasonal product, which means you have high sales at one time of the year and then low sales at another time of the year, one strategy is to swap out products when sales are low. So you make a change in the product when demand is low, and then as demand grows throughout the rest of the year, you're launching your new product and people don't so much miss the old product. Another way to do this is to switch those around and offer a high season switch. So it's a deal where it's a butt-on switch, but we're making a switch when demand is high. So here's a deal where you're expecting people to see some value in your new product, like some relative advantage, some new initiative, something new that makes the new product better, and you're capturing the enthusiasm of the market because they truly demand what you're doing. They're truly demanding your product. So sometimes we'll see this with electronics like game consoles, as the example kind of shows here. If you've got a popular, like if Xbox 360 or Xbox One or whatever it is now is real popular, they'll look at the product life cycle and they'll actually change and upgrade and develop a new module or playing system in the growth stage of the product life cycle. They'll wait till the growth stage, but they won't let the product go into the maturity stage in order to launch the new version. So they're really kind of engaging in this high season notion where they're launching a new product while the old product is super hot still. So they never really let the product move into a maturity type of a stage. Okay, so low season, high season switches. We have the roll in or the slow roll in or slow roll out. So where what we do is we find small niches of the market and we bring the product out to them first. And so we're slowly rolling the product out. And so we're not really being very aggressive, and our speed to market is relatively slow in a rollout type of a situation. We have downgrading, and then we have splitting channels. Okay, so in a downgrading environment, what we do is we launch the new product and we don't necessarily eliminate the old product, but what we do is we put less money and resources into selling the old product. We let the old product stay on the shelf, but what we do is we don't advertise it. We don't put coupons on it. We don't put any incentives on it. We put all of that effort and those resources into the new product. And so the old product is there, but it's just not supported with a lot of expenditures or advertising or media effort in that sense. The last one here is a splitting channel approach. Okay, so basically what we're doing in a splitting channel approach is we take our old product and we bring it into another channel of distribution that's different from the new product. So if we have our product currently in retail stores, what we might do with the old product is we might shift it over to online sales only and then have our new product replace it in the retail store where the old product formerly was. Okay, so that's a splitting channel approach where we're moving the products. We're using different channels of distribution, to differentiate one product from the old, and we want the new product in the best, highest grossing, the best margin area that we can put it in. So if we can make more money margin-wise in a retail setting, that's where we'll put the new product. We'll put the old product in an area where we might sell volume more at a lower price and sacrifice a little bit of margin. So we have, what, 6 or so or 7 different strategies here that we can use for different various reasons in order to replace an old product with a new one. One of these, this roll in, roll out one, we can talk about just a little bit more. When we roll the product out, when we roll the product out, we can choose to roll it out slowly. So the slow roll in, slow roll out type of a concept is where we bring the product to market only to a select group of consumers. And what's good about this is we can test how our marketing program is working. We can test the production capacity of our line. So we're not going to be at full capacity, but we can still make sure that we can handle the product being produced and so on. It doesn't overwhelm our system, in other words, to have this rolled out slowly. Now, clearly, if a competitor is right there and they're going to copy us very quickly, we run the risk that we could lose market share because a competitor might come in very quickly, and while we're taking our time, they might come in quickly and take some of our market share away from us. So we could roll out moderately or a little bit faster, and then we can also roll out rapidly if we want to. When we roll out rapidly, we're making a full commitment to our entire marketplace, and we're restricted at that point only by our manufacturing capacity. We're trying to produce and get out the door as many units as we can, and clearly this is going to take a lot of money to advertise and to promote and all of that. So that's like you're going in feet first, everything is going in all at once. You're not dipping your toe in the water at all like you might in a slow rollout. We're full steam ahead when we're doing a full rollout rapidly type of approach. Okay, so market entry speed then deals with that type of issue. And then some other issues that we talk about as we move forward and kind of finish this section up is our aggressiveness in our entry strategy. So aggressiveness might relate to the speed of we enter the market, like we just talked about. It might deal with how we price the product. If we price the product very low or very high, that could be viewed as an aggressive type of a move. If we price it very low, then we're clearly looking for a very, very aggressive competitive relationship right here, where we're looking to directly compete and take market share very rapidly away from somebody else who's in there. If we have a new to the world product with primary demand, we're probably going to move a lot slower, and we're going to set our price a lot higher because we can. Because if it's new to the world, it means nobody else is out there doing it, and we can capture market share first. We're going to be a pioneer in that product. We're going to be a leader. And so we can set the terms much more clearly. If we are a follower, or if we're coming in with a product that's easily copied, we're going to be much more aggressive probably, and we're going to look to aim everything right at our competitors to try to gain market share right away, and so forth. So these other platform decision concepts, or these other launch decision concepts, deal with how we position our product based on our competitive advantage, how we relate to our competitors based on how aggressively we try to reach the market. And something we're going to talk about more will be our branding and the image we're trying to create as a result of the products that we're trying to launch. So To wrap up then, we talked a little bit at the beginning about strategic goals and how the goals that we have now should be executable and enforced based on what we had planned early on in the product life cycle. And then we talked about various market entry and launch decisions that are strategic, that we're thinking about now as we're in a pre-launch period. So the permanence of the product and how the product fits with our other products that we already have in our product line, the demand of the consumer that we're looking to satisfy, varies a bit. Different line replacement strategies, or 6 different line replacement strategies. Then we talked about other considerations, including aggressiveness, speed to market, the competitive advantage issues, and things of that nature. So that wraps up this segment on strategic direction and decisions that are being made in the pre-launch stage.